All right, folks, here we go. BangTheBook.com. Always glad to be with you here in Las Vegas. Brian Blessing geared up for another big weekend of football. Bowl season right around the corner. We're going to have videos for you throughout bowl season, get you the opening numbers, where the line movements come from. So this weekend we have Army, Navy, and then, of course, Week 14. Terrifying in the NFL how fast it's going by. Glad to be with you here. Follow along on Twitter at Bang the Book. Don't forget the Sports Betting Podcast. Spectacular information for you here at bangthebook.com. Just the one football game Saturday. That's Army Navy. You're looking at this Army 8-3, having a wonderful season. They're off to the Armed Forces Bowl against San Diego State, against Navy, who's really been the dominant force in this series. And they'll be moving on to the Military Bowl against Virginia. Now Navy's lost 5 of 6, and Army's having a great year at 8-3. Both these teams were looking ahead to this game in their last contest. You look at the number. 3.5 Navy opened up. That hook would have been big. It's sitting on the key number of 3 now. And the total, 48 down to 46. And these two teams run similar offenses, and it's a game filled with some pomp and circumstances and plenty of emotion. Let's get to the NFL. Look at some of the numbers of what we're thinking of here. You got Tampa Bay, Detroit, no number on the board yet. Waiting to see what Matt Stafford's situation is going to be. Same thing with Buffalo hosting Indianapolis with Tyrod Taylor. Do they go back to Nathan Peterman? Well, they would if Taylor can't go. Might the kid fare better than he did against the Chargers, which was a disaster with the 5 interceptions? So wait to see numbers on those two matchups. Let's go to Chicago with Cincinnati. 6.5 was the opener on the Bengals, down to 5.5, 6. 36 up to 37, 37.5. A couple things in play here. And I think this could apply to Pittsburgh as well. That game, Cincinnati and Pittsburgh, was one of the most physical games we've seen in a long time in the NFL. And it would not shock me if both Cincinnati and Pittsburgh suffer adverse reactions to the physical nature of that last game. The Seattle game at Jacksonville opens up 3. It's down to 2.5. 39 up to 39.5. Tough travel here for Seattle, but this is a team. Russell Wilson, Wentz is likely the MVP, but if you watch what on a daily basis, or a game-by-game basis, I should say, what Wilson does for Seattle, man, he's got to be in the conversation for MVP. He has been spectacular, single-handedly, runs around, creates things for Seattle. Oakland and Kansas City, 4.5 down to 4 for the Chiefs, who are in free fall. Total on the game is 39.5. Smith was just not getting it done. Last week, he started to get on track with Kelsey and, of course, with Hill throwing the deep balls, but they still lost to the Jets. And all of a sudden, you talk about teams that are buoyed by an opportunity. I mean, the season looked over for the Raiders and the Chargers, and the Chargers could be a team playing as good as anybody in the AFC at the moment. You've got Minnesota, 1 on the road. It's up to 2.5 against Carolina, total 42 to 41. Keenum's playing great. You wonder how big a punch to the gut the Carolina loss to New Orleans will be, how the Panthers will react there. Green Bay, 4-point favorite. It's down to 3 minus 20 or 3.5 at Cleveland. Total 41 down to 40. Huntley slowly but surely starting to look a little bit better, and Jamal Williams giving him a little spark with the running game as well. Interesting to watch the remainder of the way and say, hey, that's great. They evaluated him. What will it ultimately cost the Niners? San Francisco with Garoppolo at quarterback. Last week, he was 26 of 37 for 293 yards, no touchdowns, 1 interception. They were, however, 0 for 5 in the red zone, but with each week, Garoppolo stands to get better. They're at Houston, 2 up to 3. Texans favored, mostly because of that defense. Savage is just hard to. What a punch to the gut. I mean, if Watson was healthy, Houston could have been a very dangerous team in the AFC. We got Washington and the Chargers, 6.5 down to 6. The total is 46. Washington out of it now. Could play a loose, free and easy. They can put points on the board. Now all of a sudden, the Chargers were hopelessly out of it. Now they're right back in it. So now all of a sudden, watch out for the Chargers. There's actually pressure on the Chargers at this time of year. We get the Jets at Denver. Could you imagine this? The beginning of the year, people were talking about the Jets maybe not winning a game. This number could have been -7. Now it's Denver -1 or pick. 40.5. The total is up to 41. The Broncos are just a mess. Then you have Tennessee laying 3 on the road with pressure. Total 44 at Arizona. Now Philadelphia and the Rams. The Rams are a 1-point favorite for an opener. It went up to 2. Total 51 down to 49.5. in a weird way. Now, you want home field advantage, but maybe that loss for the Eagles could be the best thing that ever happened to them to refocus. The other thing is, don't forget they're staying out west. And we've seen Oakland earlier this year, and the Patriots do this, where they went on a road trip, stayed on the road, practiced, and then played and won. So the fact that Philly's on the road practicing could be a nice bonding experience for them. That's what, the game of the week in the NFL. Dallas, a 6-point favorite for an opener. It's down to 4 because Manning is going to be playing here. Total on the game is 41.5. Usually when these two teams get together, we get a lot of points, but both offenses have struggled mightily, although the Cowboys' offensive line looked like the offensive line of old last week, so maybe Dallas is rounding into form. And then Baltimore, Pittsburgh 6 down to 5.5. Totals 43.5. From a future perspective, who could go into Foxborough and win a game? Baltimore's flown under the radar so much this year, but this is a team with that defense. Flacco's done it before. Baltimore is an interesting team to look at from futures. And again, I look at that Cincinnati-Pittsburgh game and the physical nature of it. I wonder if Pittsburgh has an adverse reaction, and Shazier is so important to them defensively. It will be a most interesting and entertaining game, physical, to say the very least. There you have it. A busy weekend, week 14 in the NFL. It's hard to believe how fast the season's going by. We're going to have a hockey video for you as well right here at bangthebook.com. Don't forget, follow along on Twitter at bangthebook. And don't forget, the Sports Betting Podcast is spectacular information for you on a weekly basis.